Whether you're applying in sales or in customer service, expect to hear this question during your job interview. And this is, sell me this pen. In this video, you're going to learn how to answer this question with 3 sample answers. Let's begin. Interviewers ask this question to gauge your selling skills. You see, whether you're working in sales or in customer service, you are actually selling all the time. When you're in customer service, you're selling the idea that you are the expert, when half the time you don't really know what you're talking about. When you're sitting in a job interview, you're selling the idea to your interviewer that you are one of the best people for the job. When you're watching my video right now, I am selling you the idea that I know more than you do when it comes to call center. So you see, knowing how to sell is crucial in everyday life, and especially when you're working in a call center. When you know how to sell, it makes you look competent, confident, and persuasive. So this is exactly what your interviewer is looking for when he's asking you this question. Most applicants answer this question by highlighting the features and benefits of the pen. Here's an example.
This pen is not just a pen. It's a multi-purpose pen and also functions as a flashlight and a taser. With this, you can write as well as feel safe 24/7.
That sounds cool, but you see, I don't really like pens with multi-purpose features. I know that sounds weird, but I find them extremely tacky. I need a pen to be just a pen, no extra bells and whistles. If I need a pen and a taser, I will buy them myself. So, as you heard, that was a big mistake. The problem with that answer was the applicant was making assumptions. He was assuming that just because the pen has extra features already means that the interviewer would find it cool. Unfortunately, the interviewer actually preferred her pen to be just a pen with no extra bells and whistles. So that was the wrong pen to sell to that interviewer. Remember, just because a certain feature sounds cool to you doesn't mean that your potential buyer is going to feel the same way. As you heard, the interviewer ended up refusing the pen because it was not the pen that she was specifically looking for. So if we are going to continue that conversation, the applicant will end up telling the interviewer that she's wrong for wanting a pen without a flashlight and a taser. So that's not a good start if you really want your potential buyer to buy from you. So in this case, what do you think should you do? Here's what you should be doing instead. Step 1 is you need to ask questions. You can talk about the mind-blowing benefits and features of the pen that you're going to sell, but if they're not the feature that your potential buyer is looking for, it won't mean anything to her. By asking questions, you will be able to pinpoint the exact needs and wants of the customer. You can ask questions like, how often do you use a pen? How many pens do you own? What do you usually use it for? What are the things that annoy you when using a pen? Just note that these questions doesn't necessarily have to be the same every single time. These are just guide questions. You can ask a different set of questions as long as those questions will allow you to understand the needs and wants of your potential buyer. After that, we're going to proceed to step 2, and that is to create the features that fit your potential buyer's needs and wants. This way, you won't have a hard time selling the pen to your interviewer because it's the pen that she specifically needs. Here's a sample answer.
So, sell me this pen.
Sure, but I'd like to know, how many pens do you own?
A dozen.
Wow, that many, huh? Is there a reason why you need that many?
Well, technically, I could survive with only one, but I have this annoying habit of losing a pen on a regular basis.
On estimate, how many pens do you buy per month?
Well, I wasn't counting, but I'm sure not a week goes by that I don't lose at least one. So an estimate per month, I replace around 4 pens. Oh, make that 6 because sometimes some of the inks dry up.
How much does each pen cost?
10 pesos each? Well, I choose the cheap one so I can buy them in bulk.
Stephanie, what would you say if I tell you that from this day forward, you will never again lose a pen in your life, nor spend an outrageous amount of money on unreliable pens?
Is that so?
You see this pen right here? This is not an ordinary pen. This pen is equipped with a flawless ink flow that never dries up. What's more, this has a built-in tracker.
Really? How does the tracker work?
All you have to do is download an app and connect this pen to your phone. Once connected, you'll be able to track the live location of your pen 24/7.
Interesting. How much does it cost?
You can get this for only 500 pesos. And I know what you're thinking, too expensive. But if you do the math, this pen is actually 4.3 times cheaper. You spend 60 pesos per month on average, right? Well, the ink of this pen lasts up to 3 years. With your usual supply of cheap pens, you'll end up spending around 2,000 pesos in 3 years. With this pen, you will only spend 500.
Now you really intrigue me. But what if I forget the pen at home? Even if I have a tracker, I still wouldn't want to go back home just for a pen, you know?
Easy. You have 2 options. Either you activate the notification of the app to notify you when the pen is 3 meters away from you, or you can buy 2. One for the office and one at home if you really need that extra security. You will still save a lot, mind you. But you see, one really is enough. One of this pen is equivalent to your 3-year worth of supply.
Excellent. I'll get it.
Okay, so as you heard, he was able to find out that her problem revolves around always losing a pen and always having to deal with low quality pens. And by asking questions, the applicant was able to identify her problem and then create features that solve those problems. So as a result, there really was no reason for the potential buyer to refuse the pen because it was the pen that she specifically needed. But there is another problem. What if the potential buyer is actually content with her current pen? What if she doesn't need a pen? What if she says, oh, I'm actually good with my pen. It gets the job done and I'm completely happy with it. I don't need any other pen. What should you do? Well, in that case, you need to look for a want. Here's my second sample answer for you to know what I mean.
So, sell me this pen.
Tell me, how often do you use a pen?
Every day?
Well, what do you use it for?
I use it at work to mark resumes mostly, signing everyday papers, nothing special really, just everyday task. And I also write in my journal.
Oh, so you write journals. Do you do it often?
Every day, yes.
You know, that's pretty rare for someone to be consistent with journaling. Lots of people want to develop the habit, but they eventually fall out of it. What keeps you going?
Well, it helps me keep track of my goals. When I write my goals down on paper, there's a greater chance of me achieving them based on my experience. Besides, it's a great way for me to preserve the memories I want to look back on someday.
I assume you have a special notebook for your journal?
Yes, I do.
Do you use a special pen too?
Not really. The pen I use at work every day, I use with my journal too.
So, let me get this clear. You have a special notebook for your special journal, but not a special pen. Why?
Well, I never really thought about it. It does the job and it writes okay.
Well, Heather, wouldn't you say that journaling is a pretty special part of your day? Then it should be treated like one. What I mean is, here you are, writing about the happiest moments of your life, the most important goals that you plan to accomplish in the next 5 years of your life, on a special notebook, but with a very unmemorable pen. I mean, I get it. It gets the job done. But wouldn't you say that your goals, ideas, and memories deserve something more special than an everyday pen? This is the pen for preserving your most cherished memories, your ideas, your light bulb moments, your biggest goals. This is the tool you use to mark your progress in life. Think of this as a symbol for your growth. When you begin to use this special tool, you are in a more productive state of mind and you begin to accomplish more goals and cherish each memory more intensely.
You have a point, but what makes it so special?
Well, this is the only pen in the world with this exact design. When you buy a pen from me, I guarantee that it's customized for you and you alone. And from what I see and hear from you, you're a person who is focused on self-growth and progress. And this pen is the perfect one for you. Okay, so as you heard, the potential buyer was already satisfied with the pen that she was using when journaling until the applicant created a wand for her. There was no need to fill, but there was a want waiting to be discovered. The applicant here decided that it was not worth selling a pen for her everyday needs with filling out the resumes and doing everyday papers, because the way the interviewer described her uses with a pen, she said that it was nothing special. But the applicant saw an opportunity, and that opportunity lies with her journaling. Therefore, the applicant asked more questions to know more about how she valued journaling. And then she revealed that she writes journal every single day because it helps her remember the memories that she wants to remember, and most especially with her goal setting. So with this statement alone, the applicant already figured out that journaling must be a really special event for her, a really special routine in her everyday life. So that was the opportunity that the applicant spotted, and she grabbed it. So I know that the last two sample answers are quite lengthy and complicated. I'm just giving you the possibilities of the exchange that you might have with your interviewer. But this third example is going to be simple, so you will be able to remember this if you want a simpler answer. Instead of asking 3 to 5 questions, you can ask at least 2 questions. The first question that you're going to ask is, tell me, what is that one thing that annoys you the most when using a pen? So that question alone is already going to identify your potential buyer's needs or wants. So that's a great question to ask if you want a straightforward answer, you want to get it over with as soon as possible. That will get the job done for you. And then you might want to ask one follow-up question, and that's it. Here's a sample answer.
Do me a favor, sell me this pen.
Tell me, what's the number one thing that annoys you the most when using a pen?
Well, I hate the fact that I can't erase anything when I write with a pen. I would have preferred to use a pencil, but of course that's out of the question, so I don't really have a choice.
Does the appearance of the pen matter to you? Does it have to be a certain design, color, or look?
I honestly don't care how it looks like, as long as I can rely on it 24/7. That and the ability to erase typos.
You know, Jen, I have the perfect pen for you. Based on what you just said, this pen matches everything you need from a pen. This pen is equipped with an eraser. That's right, an eraser. But note, this is not a pencil. Think of this as a breed between a pen and a pencil. It has the high definition ink of a pen, but with the capacity to erase typos like a pencil. And when it comes to reliability, well, our company has been in the business selling pens for 2 centuries now. We would never survive this long without prioritizing the quality of our pens. So as you heard, the applicant only asked 2 simple questions, and he was able to sell the pen successfully. This is not a typical job interview question where the interviewer is asking you one question and you answer it back, and then she's going to proceed to another question. No, this is more like an exchange between you and her. It's going to be a conversational type of question, and you should be ready to have a lengthy exchange with your interviewer about the subject, because you're basically acting as the salesperson here. So you have to act like one, and you have to ask questions and engage with your potential buyer, which is your interviewer. Because you're going to be asking your interviewer's question, your response is going to vary depending on your interviewer's response to your questions. Although you can prepare the initial questions, but you need to be prepared for the impromptu part of the conversation. In this case, I suggest that you practice with your friend, and to tell that friend to always say different things and respond differently every time you ask your initial questions, just for you to have this exercise of being spontaneous and your practice is more realistic. You should expect rebuttals and be prepared for them. You're going to be asking questions, that's true. That's already a great way to avoid a really hard rebuttal. But because this is a question to test your selling skills, you have to expect that the interviewer is going to ask you rebuttal questions. Rebuttals are statements that will kind of contradict you, and the interviewer is going to see how you respond to them and how you stay firm and stay convincing and persuasive. The good thing is when your interviewer is asking questions, more information about your pen, then that means that you have her attention, that you are piquing her interest. In fact, you should be worried if your interviewer is not asking questions about your product. That means she's probably not interested. So expect questions and know that questions are good. You should be the one controlling the conversation. And I know this sounds intimidating because in a typical job interview, it's usually the interviewer who asks the question and lead a conversation to where she wanted to go. But with this type of question where you're asked to be the salesperson, you need to be the one leading the conversation. The good thing is the moment that you start asking questions is the moment that you are starting to take the steering wheel from your interviewer and letting her take the back seat. So just know this because you might be intimidated by it and you might find it weird to hear yourself leading the conversation instead of the other way around. Just know that it's normal. If you have any questions, requests for my next videos, comment down below, like, and subscribe. Bye!